Well, here we are again. Still messes me up that I don't see the pulsing, but I'm going to trust that it's working. So, oh well. Exploring cosmopolitanism. Let me explain how it started, and then we'll go from there. I was watching clips of Chappelle's show talking about Rick James, bitch, all that sort of thing. And you come upon, Charlie Murphy stuff and all that. And then after his death, Donnell Jones, the guy that, I'm rich, biatch, the guy from Chappelle's show, bullied him into comedy and all this. And he said something that rubbed me the wrong way, and it spoke to this sort of cosmopolitan spirit of, oh, you haven't left your block, this and that. And if you want to experience the world and all this sort of thing. And to me, cosmopolitanism is something that only a few people can really experience, I think. And secondly, it creates a barrier. You know, I think cosmopolitanism is one of these things where it's like it's something that you'll never completely understand unless you live somewhere, right? Where it's like unless you've been down to Louisiana and understood about people eating gator, then you don't know. Just the same as maybe my own American or even European sensibilities when you see people eat dog. Much as I disagree with it, and ultimately it's none of my fucking business. I can disagree with it all day, but it kind of speaks to the idea of nationalism and it speaks to the ideas of traditionalism. Dare I say it? That most people still don't have the luxury to travel all across the world and see these little events, right? Go to Amsterdam and smoke weed or something like that, sleep with whoever you want to. They don't have that luxury. Most people don't. And even, to me, it's much more interesting the mundane of, why did so and so install that P-TAC this way or something like that, right? Or why did he do it that way? That's much more interesting to me. Why was his house built this and that? You know, this cosmopolitan idea where it's just like you should just be able to travel around wherever is self-defeating. Because I think you can live in China for 10 years. You're never going to understand it. You're never going to understand it the same way, as a Chinese person would. Because guess what? They're raised in it. Whereas you're coming to visit, you know? And even then, you stay to your own little world, right? Where it's other expats and shit like that. So you're basically just, you're not even an immigrant. You're just somebody who's just shopping around. I mean, I've always said to myself, it's like these folks who, you know, these folks who are like, America's so bad, we're gonna, oh, I'm gonna run away. We're gonna leave America because it's so awful, the racism. Oh. Like you think that, I mean, Americans really have to admit that racism didn't start in America. You could say, racism is bad in America, fine. But have you ever been to other countries? It's like, yeah, wait until you see there. You think that you're going to be safe in Brazil? I've seen some of these folks who are like, "Oh, Trump was so awful. That's why I left America." And I grew up in Brooklyn, so I'm tough. But I live in, Sao Paulo. Like, what part of Sao Paulo? It's like, do you go outside very much? Do you, I'm sure you don't visit those favelas too much, do you? I get annoyed with that type of shit, and it rubs me the wrong way. This sort of idea where it's just like, well, you just travel, bro, and then it's just it feeds into a larger thing. But to me, you got to respect where you are. Even for somebody like me who I've lived in this town for quite a while, and I can name some stuff and I can put on the face, but ultimately, I still feel like a stranger. I feel that I'll never be one of, I'll never be one of the boys necessarily. You know what I mean? But it's, you know, you have to make your bed where you are. I know that's kind of contradictory with what I was saying earlier about being in China, but it's like if you're an American, there's kind of those standard things. It's the same thing if you're Chinese. It's like, yeah, there's a basis of understanding. No matter all the stuff that goes on in the United States, there's a basis of understanding between people. I'm trying to keep it quiet because I imagine someone's going to start banging on the door saying you're being too loud. So I'll try to make this quick. But this whole idea, and I use cosmopolitanism in a, you know, to make myself sound more intelligent, but it's something I never completely understood. I never had that luxury. People would talk about, oh, I went to Paris or something like that. Oh, you'll see these celebrities and whatnot do that. Whereas most ordinary people, it's like if you live in a small, let's say this, you live in Texas, let's say that. And let's say you live in, I don't know, let's say Vernon, Texas. Going down to Dallas Fort Worth is considered fancy. That's what, depending. Like I said, there's some folks that have money and all that. A lot of the time, they don't just go there to shop, it's also business. You know, they don't just go there just to go there. The same thing with, folks that go to China. I imagine they do it for business. They don't have time to sit there and do all that. That's more of the realistic form of cosmopolitanism, where it's just about business, and it kind of rots things out even more. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's my feeling about it. I think it's amazing to me how a lot of these lefties will be like, yeah, stop producing that carbon and all this sort of thing. But it's okay if you want to travel around the world, bro. You should have that freedom. Fuck are you talking about? This is why people like that will never solve the issues of climate change. The real issue of climate change is that, yeah, if people stopped moving around the world as much, then things would be a little bit better. You know, I know that's kind of a cringe take, but that's how I feel. You know, of course they're gonna say, "No, it's capitalism, bro. It's purely capitalism." It's also that, but it's also migration. It has to do with people moving around the world, and enforcing their ideas on others. And kind of forcing your ideas of what things should be like on that. And you could say that about Native American culture, but then, of course, you get into the fetishization of the indigenous tribes, and it's like you shouldn't idolize them either. They may have some good ideas, but let's not fetishize them and make it seem like they're magic people who can fix everything. No, 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 no. Anywho, I think I better end it here because I'm getting kind of cringe with what I'm saying. So let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Hopefully, y'all enjoy that. See you later. Goodbye.